Good morning, everybody. I'm Lindsay Reiser in for Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks so much for joining us this Tuesday. We begin this morning with what will be a record-setting day in a summer of suffering.
From California through the deep south, tens of millions of Americans, nearly a third of the country, are waking up under heat alerts this morning. Yesterday, Baker, California was the hottest spot in the U.S., hitting 129 degrees. That was hotter than Death Valley. And this morning in Arizona, Phoenix, my hometown, is expected to smash a 47-year-old record. Today will be the 19th straight day with highs of more than 110 degrees there. By the way, it doesn't get any cooler at night. It doesn't get much cooler, that is. The heat really pushing hospitals to crisis levels as they treat heat-related illnesses. In Texas, demand for power is expected to break records this week as millions just try and stay cool. Air quality alerts have once again been issued in Chicago, New York, and Cleveland as smoke moves in from those wildfires burning in Canada. And in Pennsylvania, crews tripled their resources yesterday in an effort to find two young siblings who were swept away in the fierce floodwaters Saturday. Officials say the children's grandmother was found alive, but their mother was among the 5 killed in the flash floods this week. We have full team coverage of this coast-to-coast triple threat of extreme weather. We're going to begin with NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander in Atlanta.
Well, guys, it looks refreshing out here, but across much of the country, it is hot and only getting hotter. In fact, even by summer standards, the temperatures over the past few weeks have been unprecedented and increasingly unbearable. Consider this. Some 66 million Americans from California to Florida are waking up under heat alerts today. That means they're facing potentially dangerous temperatures. Now, of course, when we talk about heat this high, we're also talking about records falling more and more by the day. We're expecting to see some of that out in Arizona today. But for many across the country, about 60 million Americans, it's a 1-2 punch. We're talking about heat, but we're also talking about air quality alerts as the smoke from those Canadian wildfires are increasingly drifting into the lower 48. Of course, so many people watching the skies, and experts are warning if you feel ill at all, take this heat seriously and make sure that you get relief inside. Back to you.
Good advice, Blaine. Thank you.
Well, it's not just the U.S. dealing with this extreme heat. Southern Europe is being slammed with some of its hottest temperatures ever recorded, and today is expected to be even worse. The island of Sardinia off the west coast of Italy could see temperatures soar as high as 120 degrees, while countries like Spain, Greece, and France are also expecting record-breaking temperatures. NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lavanga is in a very hot Rome this morning. Claudio, you were there for us yesterday, and in fact, if anybody was watching, they might remember we were in the middle of a conversation and you froze up. It was actually the opposite of freezing. Your phone overheated during the middle of your segment. That's just how hot it is. How are you doing out there today?
Well, that's right. Well, this time, today, I actually got a proper cameraman and a proper camera because of that reason. And hopefully this big camera is not going to melt as much as my phone did yesterday. I can see the cameraman Paolo there is a bit worried. Don't worry about it. But no, it's not only the machinery, of course, that is feeling the heat. We're also melting down a bit. It's very, very hot here. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in Rome. It's about 102 Fahrenheit. It's going to go up to 107 later in the day. And as you mentioned, we may break the record in Sardinia with 120 Fahrenheit as it's forecast as the hottest day ever recorded in Europe. Well, it's one record you don't want to be part of, but, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Claudio, at least what are called 16 red alerts have been issued for heat in cities just across Italy. That includes where you are in Rome, of course, but we're also in the middle of summer travel season. I'm sure a lot of those people behind you don't live in Rome. They are tourists. It's a wonderful place to visit. How are officials working to keep everyone safe, especially when there's an influx of people just traveling through?
No, absolutely. I can see that the only people around are tourists who are braving it because the Italians are either in air-conditioned environments or in the mountains or the beaches. Well, I'll tell you a couple of things that the officials are doing. Well, the City of Rome and the Civil Protection Agency have deployed 80 volunteers dubbed the Angeli del Freddo, Angels of Freshness is one translation. They're going to hand out bottles of water and advice to people, especially tourists who may find it surprising that it's so hot or may find it difficult to cope with this kind of heat. Also, there is a map that is called Wow. I don't know why, but it's difficult to remember. That maps small public water, drinkable water fountains like the one that you see over there, where people are filling up bottles and perhaps put some water on their backs, on their necks and their heads. And also, apparently, this heat is also affecting rock and roll, because Muse, the big rock band, is having a concert tonight at the stadium here in Rome. And they announced on social media that they are postponing the start of the concert and the opening of the gates because they are concerned that the fans will be there too long in the stadium in this heat. They said, well, guys, just turn up as late as you can. Not very rock and roll, guys.
Yeah, really. All right, Claudia, we've also seen wildfires, another big concern here. Greece, the Canary Islands, you've got these strong winds that are fanning flames. People are evacuating their homes. What is the latest on that front? Are they under control at all?
Well, some are, some aren't. There is wildfires, several wildfires that have been raging around Athens. There's 3 towns there and a campsite where there were 900 children that have been evacuated, and firefighters there are finding it difficult to keep it under control because of the strong winds. Similar situation, a bit better in Spain, where there's a wildfire that has been raging since Saturday on La Palma, one of the islands on the Canary Islands. Well, that now is a bit better. It is kind of under control, but the 4,000 and the 4,000 people who were evacuated since last weekend, most of them are able to return home now, apart from the unlucky ones who had their houses destroyed by the fire. About 20 houses we hear have been destroyed so far there. Back to you guys.
All right, Claudio, try to stay cool. Definitely stay safe. Thank you so much.
All right, let's get the latest forecast here in the U.S. now.
That's right. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us for that. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. And that extreme weather from coast to coast continues. We're looking at the extreme, dangerous, record-breaking heat. We continue to break daily records, monthly records, all-time records, and we're going to continue to break them as this marathon heat continues in the south. And Lindsay, it's such a good point. We're not getting that relief at night. That's when our body kind of recovers, rejuvenates, and we're not getting that because the temperatures during the night, the lows are really high as well. So 63 million people impacted by heat alerts today. We're also watching the chance for some severe storms in spots. Also watching the chance for flooding returning, flash flooding, especially in portions of the Northeast and New England. And then, of course, we're concerned about air quality in portions of the Northern Plains into the Great Lakes and also parts of the East. So 63 million people impacted by heat alerts. We do have an excessive heat warning for Las Vegas, Phoenix, portions of Texas. That includes Dallas, Corpus Christi. We're also looking at a heat advisory. That is in the orange. So Wichita, Albuquerque, El Paso, Houston, New Orleans, you are under a heat advisory. That includes portions of southern Florida as well, because we are looking at temperatures into the 90s once again. You factor in the humidity, though. We're looking at temperatures feeling like over 100 degrees. Keep in mind, the ocean waters off the Florida Keys, off the coast of Florida, they're into the upper 90s, so that's certainly impacting the Sunshine State. Now, as we go throughout today, we're looking at widespread record heat. Phoenix, 117 today. That could break a record of 115. Albuquerque, 105, tying your record of 105. Wichita Falls, 109. Houston, 101. Corpus Christi near 100 degrees, 99. And we're looking at Del Rio coming in at 106, at least expectation later on this afternoon. That is today. We're expecting widespread heat. Once again, tomorrow, record heat. We're looking at Albuquerque, 101, El Paso, 110. That could break the record of 107. Del Rio, 105, Brownsville, 98 degrees, and Mobile, Alabama, into the upper 90s as well. Unfortunately, this will be a story that we're going to be talking about for days ahead, because we're looking at the heat wave continuing at least through late week. Look at Las Vegas, temperatures over 110 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Friday. We're looking at 113, Saturday, 114. Phoenix, no break there either, 117 on Friday. Tucson, you're over the triple digits too, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Same thing in El Paso. And Midland, Texas, we're looking at the triple digits for Thursday and Friday. The brutal heat does continue in parts of Texas, into the Gulf Coast states, the Southeast as well. Temperatures into the 90s in Birmingham, but it will feel like 102. Feeling like 102 in Tallahassee, also feeling like 103 in Tampa. That's because we're factoring that high humidity, so we're going to feel like over 100 degrees in so many spots. And this is going to continue, too. So in Atlanta, into the upper 90s on Thursday, near 100 degrees. Tallahassee, same story. Miami, you're into the mid-90s, but feeling like 105 most of those days. So that's the heat story continuing to go on and on. We're looking at the chance for severe storms in parts of the lower Ohio Valley, into parts of the Missouri Valley. Also, we're going to see the chance for flooding coming back to the Northeast, also also portions of New England, because we're looking at heavy downpours as we go throughout this afternoon. Radar showing us that we only have a few scattered showers. Where you see those brighter colors, that's where we're looking at the heaviest rain. But we're going to kind of see this develop as we go throughout the afternoon. That daytime heating, the sunshine's going to pop some storms later on this afternoon. And any of those storms could be drenching. Remember, we're so saturated. So any rainfall that does fall could be runoff, and most likely will be runoff. Streams, creeks, rivers are really high as well. 6 million people impacted by a flood watch. That is in that green there, and that's for most of New England into the interior parts of the Northeast. And it's because thunderstorms will be likely, and they're going to drop locally heavy rain. It's going to be quick areas of flood with soaked ground, as I just mentioned. And then we have flash flooding. So we have flooding concerns, flash flooding. Flash flooding is particularly dangerous because it's fast, it's furious. So if you're out and about and you do have a flash flood warning in your area, you want to seek shelter, you want to listen to all the local authorities that are telling you not to be on the roadways. And then we're going to see this developing later on today in portions of the Tennessee Valley, also parts of the Ohio Valley, where we're looking at multiple rounds of thunderstorms this afternoon, guys, or later on this evening, where we could see some really heavy rainfall as well. So the extreme weather continues day after day.
It's either so hot or you are in the middle of a storm. That's been the case for over a week now. All right, Michelle, thank you so much.
So let's bring in Dr. Jennifer Francis. She's a senior scientist at Woodwell Climate Research Center. Good morning, doctor, and thank you for being with us. I mean, this is alarming stuff. Scientists say they've never seen anything like this. We're in uncharted territory. What is causing all of these, not only record-breaking heat waves, but extreme weather that we're seeing that Michelle was just talking about?
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me and connecting this to the climate change story, because it's very much part of this story. One of the clearest connections that we can see between the climate crisis and the kinds of extreme weather events that have been unfolding all around the Northern Hemisphere, as you've reported, are heat waves. And yes, it's July. Yes, it's summer. Yes, heat waves happen. But what we're seeing is these heat waves becoming larger, more intense. And as the forecast we just heard about, they're very persistent. They're lasting longer. This has been expected for a very long time. It's very clearly connected to climate change. You know, as I said, heat waves happen, but we're seeing them happen much more often, and they're much more intense. And what the flooding situation in the Northeast is just the other side of the same coin. This pattern across the North America has been in place for weeks. And so we have the heat mostly over the west and the south, but we've had this very wet pattern stretching along the eastern seaboard, producing these bouts of heavy rainfall that have led to the extreme flooding situation. It's also connected to the fires up in Canada that have been creating all the smoke that's come down over the country. It's been very dry, persistently hot up there as well. And this is, again, all connected to this very persistent pattern that's been in place. And this is also a key impact of the climate crisis, is the persistence of these patterns.
So, Dr. Francis, does this mean that we'll see more wildfires, flooding, heat waves? I mean, what does this mean in the short term for the rest of the seasons? And what does this mean in the long term, decades from now?
Well, I have to say the answer is absolutely yes. It won't be the same places experiencing the same kind of extremes each year. Last year, we had the very different situation where we were looking at drought in the Northeast. So different places will experience different sides of this same coin that I'm talking about. But yes, we're going to see an increase in the intensity and the frequency of these kinds of extreme events as we continue to accumulate greenhouse gases in the atmosphere that are mostly the result of burning fossil fuels. And until we can reduce that accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, we're going to see these types of things just get worse and more frequent.
The alarm bells are ringing. Dr. Jennifer Francis, thank you.
This afternoon, President Biden is welcoming Israel's president to the White House. The meeting comes after the Biden administration invited Prime Minister Netanyahu for an official visit more than 6 months after his re-election. White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us on this now. Hi, Peter. Good to see you. So we understand this invitation came in a phone call between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu ahead of today's meeting with the Israeli president. Explain to us why now for this invite? Why did it take a while? And what else did both men discuss?
Well, it's a good question. There certainly have been tensions between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu. These two leaders have known each other for years, but the White House has expressed real concern about the Netanyahu government's effort to try to impose some new rules that effectively would change the way the Supreme Court works in the state of Israel. These are viewed as sort of far-right proposals that the White House has been opposed to and has made its frustration and its displeasure with that effort by Israel clear. The president had not extended an invitation since Netanyahu took office once again last fall. The White House says that the two men did speak yesterday and that there will be a visit between the two that takes place, with the details still to come, likely before the end of the year, the White House said. But as for these tensions between the two countries, here's part of what we heard from John Kirby, one of the spokespeople here at the White House for the National Security Department. Take a listen.
The president stressed the need to take measures to maintain the viability of a two-state solution and to improve the security situation in the West Bank. He expressed concern about continued settlement growth and called on all parties to refrain from further unilateral measures. Finally, President Biden reiterated, in the context of the current debate in Israel about judicial reform, the need for the broadest possible consensus, and that shared democratic values have always been and must remain a hallmark of the U.S.-Israel relationship.
Obviously, the situation in Israel has been a tense one, as we've witnessed new fighting in recent weeks. The White House has been monitoring that closely. The president's hoping this relationship with Netanyahu allows them to help sort of communicate the democratic policies that the U.S. believes Israel needs to maintain there. Savannah?
Yeah, of course, we've seen that actual violence on the ground, but it is creating tension here in D.C. as well. I mean, we know Israel's president, is expected to address a joint meeting of Congress on Wednesday, but we do understand some members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus will not be attending after some other drama this week regarding this. Is that right, Peter?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the Israeli president is really a ceremonial office. It's held by a man named Isaac Herzog. He is going to be speaking before Congress on Wednesday, and it comes as Democrats are facing some criticism, particularly progressive Democrats, for some of their comments about Israel in recent days. The head of the Progressive Caucus, Pramila Jayapal, excuse me. She is from the state of Washington, and she, in comments recently, described Israel as a racist state. That faced some sharp criticism from Republicans, Kevin McCarthy among them. He said this has to stop, about some of the comments from some Democrats, and also from some leading Democrats as well, who say that the situation and the U.S. support of Israel needs to be bipartisan. Ultimately, Jayapal apologized for those comments. The White House was said that they were glad that she did that, but Jayapal did communicate her frustration specifically about what she described as racist policies in Israel and her effort to help create a two-state solution, which she fears is getting further and further out of reach.
All right, Peter Alexander covering a lot for us this morning from D.C. Thank you so much.
This morning, a new 6-week abortion ban is temporarily on hold in Iowa. The ban was signed into law on Friday, but yesterday a judge issued a temporary injunction putting it on hold while legal challenges move through the court system. Because of the ruling, abortion in Iowa is once again legal up to 22 weeks of pregnancy. Joining us right now for more on this is Michelle Goodwin. She's an O'Neill Professor of Constitutional Law and Global Health Policy at Georgetown University. Professor, good to see you. Good morning. So this ruling comes as Planned Parenthood, the ACLU of Iowa, the Emma Goldman Clinic, they all sued to block this 6-week abortion ban. They say it violates the Iowa Constitution. What's their argument?
Well, their argument is that it violates the Constitution and that it violates equal protection and as well as substantive due process. Iowa's already litigated this issue, and the Iowa Supreme Court in 2022 said that abortion should remain legal in the state and that the test should be an undue burden standard, which was the standard that was alive after Planned Parenthood v. Casey, but that was prior to the Supreme Court's decision that overturned Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey. The judge in this case said that it would put a hold on this law and referenced this prior Iowa decision where the standard would be the undue burden standard, meaning that if there were any law that created an undue burden or a substantial obstacle in the path to having an abortion, then it would be illegal. Now, that is not to say that this is a final ruling, because it's not. The judge has simply issued a temporary order that allows for the prior law, which makes abortion legal in the state, to stand until the litigation is complete and a final issue is released.
So what's the timeline on something like that? And what does this injunction mean for abortion access in Iowa for the short term?
Well, for the short term, it means that abortion is legal in the state. Abortion is, in the state of Iowa, there is a 24-hour waiting period, which means that even though abortion is legal in the state, it doesn't mean that if someone shows up in the state needing to have an abortion, that they will be able to receive one on the date that they go into a clinic, because Iowa has a waiting period. But it does mean that this 6-week ban, which in some states they say, well, abortion's legal, it's just that you must have it in your first 6 weeks. Well, at 6 weeks, a lot of women wouldn't know that they actually happen to be pregnant. So it basically is a significant victory at this time for the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, and the clinics that supported bringing this case to challenge the law.
And following yesterday's decision, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds released a statement saying, quote, "I will fight this all the way to the Iowa Supreme Court, where we expect a decision that will finally provide justice for the unborn." What are the possible outcomes here?
Well, you know, it's unknown. It's always difficult to predict exactly where judges or justices will be, save if they've spoken quite publicly on this. Now, as I said, the Iowa courts had already litigated this issue and came down on the side of their state's constitution to say that it does provide for equal protection and substantive due process, and that those provisions reach the lives of women, and that in order to protect women's equal protection as well as their substantive due process, then abortion should stand. We don't know if it does go up to the Iowa Supreme Court, if that would be a similar ruling, but it does mean that for the people in the state of Iowa, the women and girls in that state who might need this particular care for health and safety reasons or for other reasons, that they can get that medical care. It's also worth noting that the governor has framed this as an issue involving the abortion industry, which is quite inflammatory, and I think we might begin to see more of that kind of language with these bans.
Well, I appreciate you helping us understand what's happening. Professor Michelle Goodwin, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.